Okay, hello everybody. I would like to go through a problem with you today that is dealing with volume. All right, so let's just start and let's read the problem. I've got it right here for us. Let's go ahead and see what we're looking at here. So, a product design team is working on a new drink box which will hold 225 cubic centimeters of juice. The box is 12.5 centimeters high and 4.5 centimeters long. What is the width of the box? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's mark some important information really quick. So the first thing I'm going to do is look and what am I being asked to do? In this case, it's at the end of the problem here, and it asks what is the width of the box. In order to solve this problem, I need to be able to answer that question right there. Okay, and in order to answer that question, I need some information. So when I look through the problem again, a product design team is working on a new drink box, which will hold 225 cubic centimeters of juice. So that right there, 225 cubic centimeters of juice. That tells me that I'm working with volume, right? So remember, volume means cubed because we've got 3 dimensions. So cubic centimeters tells me I'm working with volume, and the volume of this new juice box is 225 cubic centimeters. Okay, and then I've got some more information. The box is 12.5 centimeters high. I'm gonna write that down. And what else does it say? 4.5 centimeters long. Okay, so there's some information that's really gonna help me as I go through this. Now, what I've already done, because it's really helpful for me, is I've drawn a picture of this juice box. Right over here, my juice box, I've got my length here of 4.5 centimeters, my height of 12.5 centimeters. The width is still just W because I don't know what the width is. I wasn't given that in the problem. And then I've written what the volume was that they gave me, 225 centimeters cubed. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's look at what we need to do to solve this problem. Now, I know I need to find the width. So I'm going to write down what I know about volume of rectangular prisms. I know that when I'm finding the volume of a rectangular prism, I'm going to say that the volume equals the length times the width times the height, right? So I can use that information to help me solve this problem. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to rewrite this problem. So all right, so let's just say, this is the volume equals the length, let's just put it there, times the width times the height, right? So we got the length times the width times the height. So let's go through and let's fill in our equation if we have that variable's information. So let's ask, do I know what the volume is of this prism? And I do. It gave me in the problem. The volume is 225 centimeters cubed. So I'm going to replace V with 225. Okay, now let's move on. Do I know the length of this prism? And the problem, once again, it did give me the length. It told me that the length of this prism was 4.5 centimeters, right? So I'm going to replace L. Instead of writing L, I'm going to write 4.5. Now let's move on. Do I know the width? Do I know the width of this prism? And that's what I don't know, right? It asked me, what is the width of the box? We don't know that yet. So we're going to keep our W right there. And then the last one, do I know the height? Was I given the height? In this case, I was, and it said the height was 12.5 centimeters high. Okay? So if I was to rewrite this equation with this new information, it would then be 225 equals 4.5 times the width times 12.5. And if you think back, what type of equation is this? We can ask ourselves that question. What type of equation has a variable, has a letter, has something we don't know that we need to find, right? And those are algebraic. And if you remember, we're going to solve an algebraic equation by using inverse operations. And our goal of using inverse operations is we want to isolate the variable. We want to take this W right here, and we want that W to be the only thing on the right side of the equal sign. So that means we need to get rid of this 4.5, and we need to get rid of this 12.5. Once we've done that, we will know what W equals. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. Let's start using some inverse operations to isolate the variable. The first thing we notice that our operations here, we've got multiplication right there. We've got multiplication right there. Division is the inverse operation to multiplication. So to solve this, I am going to use division. So let's jump into that and get started. So let's start, and I'm going to just choose one of these numbers. I'm going to get rid of the 4.5 first. So what that means is I'm going to divide this side of the equation by 4.5, right? And that means this 4.5 on top, those cancel out, so those are gone. So all we have left on the right side of the equal sign now is W times 12.5. So we've gotten rid of one of the numbers. But if you remember, what we've done here, we changed the value of the right side of the equal sign. We divided it by 4.5. So to make sure that we keep this equal sign, to keep this equivalent, we need to divide the other side of the equal sign by 4.5 as well. So let's take it down here and let's find out what that is. Let's go ahead and work out what is 225 divided by 4.5. There's a decimal in the divisor. I don't really want that, so I'm going to move that over once, and I'm going to do the same thing over here. So it turns into 2,250 divided by 45. And now we can just go through and divide. 45 does not fit into 2, it does not fit into 22, but it does fit into 225. And I'm thinking maybe about 5 times. So let's check. Let's see what 45 times 5 is. See if that gets us close. All right, 5 times 5 is 25. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22. It's 225 exactly. Okay, so that means we're gonna get a 5 right there. 225, let's go ahead and subtract, and we're left with zeros. In this case, what that means is we need to take this 0 that we have left, and it's got to go up to the quotient. So there we go. All right, so let's rewrite our equation of what we just found out. 225 divided by 4.5 equals 50. So our equation now looks like 50 equals, remember, all we have left is the W times 12.5. So 50 equals W times 12.5. Okay? Still algebraic, right? We still have a variable. We still need to isolate this W, right? So that means we need to get rid of 12.5. And again, we do this using inverse operations. The inverse of this multiplication right here is division. So let's divide W times 12.5 by 12.5. And then when you simplify, these cancel out, and all we're left with is W, right? So if we go down, W is going to equal something. Now, what we've done again, we changed the value of the right side of the equal sign. In order to keep it equal, we need to change the value of the left side in the exact same way. So let's divide 50 by 12.5 as well and see what we get. Okay, so I'm going to take my work over here again where I can do that. So we're going to say, all right, we're going to divide 50 by 12.5. And again, I've got a decimal in the divisor. So I'm just going to move that over. Let me make sure you can see it. There we go. So I'm going to move that decimal over once to make that a whole number, which just means I have to move the decimal over once in the dividend. So there we go. So our problem becomes, what is 500 divided by 125? Let's start doing some division. 125 does not fit into 5. It does not fit into 50, but it does fit into 500. I'm thinking 4 times. Let's see if it's 4. So let's see what 125 times 4 is. See what we get there. All right. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 2 is 8. Plus 2 is 10. 4 times 1 is 4. Plus 1 is 5. It's exactly 500. So 500 divided by 12.5 is 5. Which means we are left with nothing here, so we are done with that. So 50 divided by 12.5 that we had over here is 5. So what we've learned here is that the width equals 5, which is what our question asks, right? What is the width of the box? Now, we want to make sure that when we do this, when we answer that question, we're going to say the width, let's just write it down. Answer the question. The width equals 5. Not just 5, though. We need to remember, when we're working with geometry, with distances, we need to say what unit it is. In this case, we're working with centimeters, so the width equals 5 centimeters. Okay, and there we go. There's our answer. We are finished with that. So, okay, so remember, when we're finding the missing dimension, use the algebraic skills that we know. Isolate the variable using inverse operations and until you get the variable all by itself. And remember to add the unit when you're done. Good luck, guys.